welcome to the channel. This time we'll be looking at a super compact manual lens for APS-C cameras, and I'd like to thank Pergear for sending me this 25mm f1.7 lens to test. But don't worry, it's a completely independent video. Now, do not mistake it with the Pergear 25mm f1.8 lens. They are different lenses. One is f1.8 and the other f1.7. Let's take a look at the details and background separation at different aperture. When you shoot wide open at f1.7, the sharpness is alright. You can still see the tiny details captured. The problem is, it lacks contrast and it has this kind of washed out look. It seems as if there's some special coating that gives the image a vintage look. After we step down to f2.8 and f4, we start to see more contrast, and I think we can see it is pretty sharp at f2.8. I'm actually not sure whether this is the quality control problem or maybe this lens just have this washed out look wide open. Despite that, I'm still pretty satisfied with the smooth bokeh. 25mm APS-C is equivalent of 37.5mm full frame. But you can see the depth of field is rather obvious for a semi-wide-angle lens. This also has to do with minimum focus distance, which is 20 centimeters. So you can get close enough to your subject and capture close-up details while also including the blurry background in the frame. At f1.7 and f2.8, the shape of bokeh is round and flattering. But as I said earlier, f1.7 images lack contrast, so you might have to add more contrast in post-processing. At f4 and above, the bokeh starts to look a little bit edgy, but still retains circular shape overall. As a semi-wide-angle lens, it's not very difficult to focus manually, but I would still recommend using focus picking and magnification assist. The focus ring is smooth, but also has some damping, so you won't accidentally push it too far. But there is one thing that bothers me. When I focus to infinity, it is actually not infinity. The image looks blurry, so I have to pull it back a little bit in order to get the correct infinity focus. So it's a little bit troublesome. I have tried another similar lens from several artisans, and it's got the same problem. The chromatic aberration is very well controlled. It's actually surprising since most of these tiny manual lenses have serious fringing problem. As for flaring, it's interesting that you don't see a lot of optical flow where the light source is, but instead it's at the corner of the frame, so it's actually pretty discreet. Unfortunately, the vignetting is quite obvious wide open, and it doesn't go away completely until f5.6. For video shooting, I would suggest turning on the active steady shot or any other stabilization function on your camera, so the footages will not look shaky. And I would also recommend using an aperture smaller than f4. This way it would be easy to get your subject in focus even if it is moving, as in this video, you'll probably think I'm using an autofocus lens, right? What I like the most about this lens is how compact it is, and it's also very affordable. If you happen to like this kind of washed out look, I'd say it's a pretty good deal for what it costs. Otherwise, I would say it's more like an f2.8 lens rather than an f1.7 lens. If we look at its predecessor, the difference between f1.7 and f1.8 is marginal, so I guess the real difference is the build, with the f1.7 lens having a clicked aperture ring, while the f1.8 lens non-clicked aperture ring. So I suppose this one is designed more for photography rather than videography. If you look at its competitor, I would say the 7 Artisan's 25mm f1.8 lens has better image quality when you shoot wide open, and it also has a shorter minimum focus distance. But this Pergear lens has better chromatic aberration and flaring control. The price and size is similar, so it really depends on what you value the most in a lens. I will also make a review video for the 7 Artisan's 25mm f1.8 lens, so stay tuned for more videos coming. Leave a comment to let me know how you think about this tiny little lens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.